Maggie had never liked the air vents in her new house. They were old and rusted, stretching through the walls like veins, especially the one in her kitchen that was so much bigger that led to the cellar. Sometimes at night, she swore she could hear something moving inside them, quick, scurrying sounds, too big to be rats, too fast to be human. At first, she ignored it. Houses made noises. Old pipes groaned. The wind howled through cracks. But then she saw them. It happened one night while she was reading in bed. The vent above her dresser let out a soft metallic clink, like something had shifted inside. She glanced up, and for a split second she saw them, tiny pale figures crouching behind the metal slats, their wide reflective eyes locked onto her. She froze. Then, before she could react, they vanished, retreating deeper into the darkness of the vents. Maggie didn't sleep that night. Over the next few days, she felt their presence everywhere. She would catch glimpses of movement from the corner of her eye, hear faint chittering noises in the walls. One morning, she found scratch marks near the vent in the hallway, small clawed handprints smeared with something dark and dried. She was terrified. Until the night. She woke to the sound of the back door creaking open. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, moved through her house. A shadow passed under her bedroom door. Maggie's breath hitched. Someone was inside. She reached for her phone, but before she could grab it, the closet vent rattled. A dozen glowing eyes flickered behind the slats. A sharp, chittering noise filled the room, rising in pitch like a warning. And then, the creatures poured out of the vents. They moved like a swarm, their small, wiry bodies moving impossibly fast. They skittered across the ceiling, the walls, the floor, closing in on the man just as he turned the corner into her room. He barely had time to scream. They were on him in seconds, clawed hands gripping his arms, legs, face, sharp teeth sinking into his skin. He thrashed, but it was useless. Flesh tore. Blood sprayed. His screams turned to wet, gurgling gasps before falling silent. Maggie watched, paralyzed. By the time the creatures were done, what was left of the intruder was dragged through the vent next to the cellar door. One by one, they turned toward her, their eyes still glowing in the dark. Maggie braced herself. But they didn't attack. Instead, they stared, watching, waiting. And in that moment, she understood. They weren't here to hurt her. They had been protecting her all along. Swallowing hard, Maggie took a slow step back. The creatures twitched. Then, as if satisfied, they scurried back into the vents, vanishing into the darkness once more. The house fell silent. Maggie stood there, heart hammering, staring at the rusted vent covers. She should have been horrified. Instead, for the first time since she moved in, she felt safe and, as an offering, she left pieces of raw meat by the vent next to the cellar door.